What are musical cadences and how do they work? A cadence is just a chord sequence that ends a musical phrase or section. Every song is made up of different chord progressions, and at the end of each segment of progression, they tend to move through what's called a cadence. And they're kind of like how commas and periods are used to divide up phrases in speech. Some endings are more resolute, like periods, and some are more indefinite, like commas. And there are four main types of cadences. Perfect and plagal cadences are finished cadences, like periods, and imperfect and deceptive cadences are more like commas. They are unfinished. And even though these phrases sound complicated, cadences are not difficult once you understand the underlying theory. And to see what I mean, if you take the key of C major or the C Ionian mode, for example, and you arrange all of the chords into a circle or a loop like this, called the circle of thirds, you can see that cadences are actually really simple. In this diagram, all of the notes are arranged by major third and minor third intervals. They form a loop or a circle of thirds. Together, C, E, and G make the C major chord. E, G, and B make the E minor chord. G, B, and D make the G major chord, and so on. All 7 chords form a seamless ring like this. And really, you can imagine that each of these notes represents the root note of each chord. And when you do this, you can form different chord progressions like C major, F major, D minor, G major, back to C again. And once you can move through harmonic space like this in the circle of thirds, it's really easy to see how cadences work. The thing to remember is that every chord wants to resolve to C. C is the tonic chord, and if this was a pinball machine, then everything would want to gravitate towards C. It's the natural home base. The major 1 chord, or C in this case, is the ultimate period in the punctuation of musical phrases. And so a perfect cadence moves from 5 to 1, or in our example here, G major to C major. A plagal cadence moves from the 4 to the 1. 4 to 1. So the perfect and plagal cadences are the 2 finished cadences. Because they arrive at 1, they're finished, like a period in a musical phrase. And so looking at the 2 unfinished cadences, an imperfect cadence doesn't arrive at 1, it lands on the 5 chord. And it can get there from different ways. You can arrive from major 1, major 5, major 4, major 5, or minor 2, major 5. And ultimately, that 5 chord wants to resolve to the 1, but it's passing through the 5, leaving you that lack of resolution, so it's unfinished in this case. And then the deceptive or interrupted cadence, it's like the pump fake of cadences, because you start at the 5 and it looks like it's going to resolve to 1 and overshoots the mark going to the minor 6. So it's going from 5 to 6. So these are the 4 main types of cadences, and once you understand how they work, once you can see the underlying theory, they're actually really simple.